Hi there, John Crotts with King Law, attorney and elder law specialist. Wanted to talk to you today about caregiver agreements, also known as personal care agreements or personal care services contract. This is a Medicaid planning tool. Um, as you know, if you've watched any of my other videos, one of the things that is heavily scrutinized for somebody that's applying for Medicaid is gifts or any type of gifts or transfers where the applicant's not getting fair market value in return is going to be heavily scrutinized. And what some families get into is you may have a loved one, a child, a daughter, a grandchild, somebody who is helping take care of somebody at home, and that effort is keeping them from having to pay an outside home health provider from coming into the home, or it's keeping them from having to go into an assisted living facility. So it can be really helpful, and why not spend that money in the family? But you got to be careful if you're doing that. And it's helpful to have a contract with that care provider to make sure that everybody understands what the nature of the agreement is, and to prevent that situation from looking like a gift. Um, so, what you're going to do is you're going to have a written contract. Ideally, that's going to be drafted by an experienced elder law attorney to make sure that's done right. Um, and we're going to plan for these future payments that are going to be paid to the caregiver. So, in that agreement, you're going to have a detailed description of the services to be provided, whether that's daily activity, daily living activities, transportation, medication management, may even be some housekeeping, could be some yard work, landscaping, uh, whatever thing, whatever you can think of that might be within the scope of what this caregiver could do. Let's get that in the written contract. And then we're going to specify the frequency and the duration of the services, including the estimated number of hours per week that's anticipated for the caregiver to provide to the individual. And then we're going to make sure that we clarify the compensation within the agreement, an hourly wage. And this wage needs to be comparable to what those services cost in the market. So you can't pay $200 an hour to your granddaughter to provide, basic home care, because that's not comparable to the market. The payments should be made prospectively on a regular schedule. And retroactive payments are going to be heavily scrutinized. Lump sum payments are going to be heavily scrutinized. Really want to try to avoid those if at all possible, and make it on a ongoing schedule, just like you would pay your landscaping provider or anyone else you're going to pay as those services are rendered. It's advisable to have a tax professional evaluate um, the pay schedule and everything, and make sure that proper tax withholding laws are being followed. 1099s are being issued if necessary, um, if so many hours are being worked, um, and make sure that it's a completely above board transaction, so that if a Medicaid worker is doing a 5-year look back and they see these checks being written to someone and they grow suspicious that that's some kind of gifting strategy, you can say, no, actually, I've got a contract right here that specifies this is for caregiving. And here is a care log. That's another important piece of the planning, is to have a written log of the dates, the hours worked, the activity performed by the caregiver, so that there can be no question as to the nature of the work provided, and the scope of services. Make sure that you keep a few copies of this agreement handy. Both the individual receiving care and the caregiver should have copies of that for tax purposes, for Medicaid purposes, and the like. Um, but failure to follow failure to follow these rules, failure to adequately document this could result in you know being deemed ineligible to receive Medicaid benefits. But Caregiver agreements, an excellent way to help older folks age in place and preserve Medicaid eligibility. Um, and it can also be a spin down tool for someone who uh, isn't yet eligible for Medicaid, but it's a possibility in the future. So we're spending down those resources in anticipation of eventually maybe needing those Medicaid benefits. And it allows our loved ones to have people in the home who they know, that they're familiar with, and who can provide the best possible care. But if you'd like more information on caregiver agreements, give us a call at King Law, and we'd be happy to discuss this with you, or any other elder law or estate planning needs you may have. All right, thanks.